Welcome to episode 66 of the Brainy Business, Understanding the Psychology of Why People Buy. Today's episode is answering your questions and giving details about the new Brainy Pricing Course with a fun twist we have never done before on the show. Ready? Let's get started.
You are listening to the Brainy Business Podcast, where we dig into the psychology of why people buy and help you incorporate behavioral economics into your business, making it more brain-friendly. Now here's your host, Melina Palmer.
Hello, everyone. My name is Melina Palmer, and I want to welcome you to the Brainy Business Podcast. I'm really excited to share this week's episode with you for a few reasons. First, because we get to talk about the newly released Brainy Pricing Course, what it entails, why I chose it to be the first in the installment of Brainy Courses, and the positive impact brain-friendly pricing can have on your business. And second, because it's a completely different format than we've ever done on the show. You've heard me mention my friend Nikki Rausch, your sales maven, several times on the show before. She is fantastic and amazing. And when I mentioned to her that I wanted to do an episode about the Brainy Pricing Course, but wasn't sure of the best way to do it, she offered to interview me and ask me questions about it so we could just have a good conversation around what it was about. And it sounded like a lot of fun and a fantastic idea to me. So that's what you'll get in this episode. Nikki is the perfect person for this because first off, she is an avid listener of the Brainy Business. I know she really actively listens to the show and applies all of the information that she learns. And I know that because she's also a client and has referred many clients over to me as well. So I know she understands what someone might be asking who's interested in the course or working with me, but isn't quite sure what to expect, or maybe someone who has questions but isn't sure how to best articulate them. She's had a lot of these conversations before, so she knows the types of things that people ask before reaching out and deciding to work with me. I gave her a walkthrough of the course before we started, and she has also known about the process I've been going through in creating this for the past several months. So she has a very unique perspective about the course and the Brainy business in general, and I think you're going to get a lot of value out of our conversation. And as a thank you and a quick shout out to her, I want to include a little mention of her new book, The Selling Staircase, which is available now on Amazon. It's amazing, just like her. And there's a link in the show notes if you want to check it out. There you'll also find your special discount codes where you can get up to $100 off if you opt for the course and a workshop bundle. And we do currently, at least at the time of this recording, have some seats left at the workshop coming up on October 9th and the virtual workshop on November 13th. There is also a link to the Master Your Mindset freebie mini course, which I've just released so you can try a course with me before you buy, plus any other pertinent stuff we will talk about during the episode. Those show notes are within the app you're listening to or at thebrainybusiness.com/66. If you're already a member of the Brainy Business email list, you've received all the updates in the email you get from me every Friday, including a link to the super secret subscribers page of the website with links to all the freebies, including Master Your Mindset. If you're not yet on that list and would like to be, simply sign up for any freebie and you'll be automatically added. Those of you in the States can sign up easily by texting the word Brainy, BRAINY, to 33777. You'll be added to the list and get a free copy of my ebook as a thank you. All right, let's jump right into my interview from Nikki Rausch. Nikki, my dear, dear friend, thank you so much for doing this and welcome to the Brainy Business Podcast.
Well, thank you for allowing me to do this as what I call myself a super fan of Melina Palmer and the Brainy Business, specifically the podcast and everything you do. And as a client and as somebody who is an avid listener, I am so thrilled and excited to talk to you today about the course that I think many of us have just been waiting for you to put out. So I'm excited to talk about the course and kind of dig in and find out more about it. I really want to take this from the perspective of, because I am a client. So from a prospective client standpoint, if I'm thinking about buying this course and going through this course, kind of the questions that I would have that I want to hear you talk about. Now, I have some insider track here because I've gotten to see some of the course. I know what's in the course and been privy to it. So I'm really, 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 really thrilled to get to have this discussion with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here as well. And as everyone probably knows who's listening, especially if you've been listening for a while, I too, we're, I guess, dual admirers of one another. So I'm thrilled to have you here with me as well. And I know you know so much about Nikki is someone who I will get Voxer messages from her all the time that are, we were driving to Portland today and I heard you say this thing. So definitely for those of you who are, fans of the podcast and you listen a lot. And I know a question that I've gotten is about if there's so much, if I've listened and heard the episodes on anchoring and framing, is there something more for me here in the course, of which yes, there absolutely is. And I'm sure we'll get to that question, but glad to have you here to ask these questions from the perspective of a listener and client.
Yes. And I do talk back to you on your podcast all the time. So sometimes I do have to Voxer you and actually say the things that I say in my car when I'm talking back to you. So, but let's dig into the course. So you may have shared this, but just to put it here in this episode, why was pricing the course that you decided to put out first?
The reason I put pricing first is it's because it's the thing I get asked about the most when it comes to whether it's from small businesses up to large global corporations that I've done work with. Just it's something really everybody struggles with understanding, and the way that you think people should act or do things, it just doesn't, it feels like the price is such a huge factor. And I've worked with so many clients on this and know and have seen the impact that it makes when somebody feels really confident in what their pricing actually is. And once you have that transition to where you feel good about it, the sales really just start to roll in much easier. And so the benefit is so quick when you go through this process, and it's just something everybody I've found really struggles with. And I would like to end that and help people to not struggle with pricing anymore. Plus it boosts, profitability and sales in your business, which is what everybody wants.
Well, sales is my jam. I love everything sales. And yes, this idea, I'm thrilled that you decided to put pricing out first. And I know my clients oftentimes struggle with I don't even know where to start on my pricing, and or I'm ready to raise my price. How much should I raise it, or what should I raise it to? And I feel like this course really gives those answers. And it's one of the things I love about you, Melina, is because everything is so research based. You come from this standpoint of you've done all the research and all the reading for those of us who just want the answer. And I feel like this course has put the answer in there. So can we dig in a little bit? Because I kind of mentioned this idea of when you're setting your price, what's one thing that you're going to get out of this course that we haven't really been able to dig in with you in listening to a podcast, because there's so much that goes into this one question?
Yeah. So the whole point of the course, as I've said in the truth about pricing and subsequent episodes, where, pricing is never about the price. So this course is all the stuff that you need to and should think about as you're setting up your strategy around how to approach pricing. And really the very last module is picking those final prices. So through this process of the course, it's not just in picking, this has been at $1,500 and now I'm going to be $1,750 is what it should be, or should I be $1,497? That's very, very much at the end. And there is, the brain strategy around that pricing that you should use as well. But the pieces that we really dig into within the course, I talk about, I would say actually one of the things that I've been able to do and find is an area that's a real gap for a lot of my clients when we work on pricing is all the ways that you can, should, would, could think about the number that is sort of this general number that you should be charging for your work. And so there are KPIs, and for the types of work that we do, Nikki, to where you'd say, well, I'm doing a strategy session and it's 1 hour. So that's 1 hour of time. No, there's all that plus, there are these things before, and did you think about X, Y, Z? And I've gone through this process with people as they are trying to transition from doing maybe just 1 hour strategy sessions to doing a virtual workshop or something like I've offered, and where you think, well, if 5 people are signing up and it's this amount of time, then it just all works together. But you have to really think about all these other items that can factor in, and understanding your numbers in this more robust way to set those baseline prices. And that's just, a piece from one of the modules. I also have a walking through step by step on how to raise prices, because I know that's a question that comes up all the time. And that's one reason I wanted to have this course come out here in September and have 2 workshops that would be taking place before the end of the year, because so many people look to raise their prices at the first of the year. And so if you're looking to raise prices in 2020, being able to start thinking about and communicating now to talk about those price increases with upcoming customers, with current customers and clients, how to work all that in is something that's discussed in the course as well.
One of the things that I know is in the course, because I've seen it, and my clients love this from me, and I know I love it from you, is that there's some scripts in there, right? There's some actual language, like how to communicate certain things around pricing with a prospective client. So I think that's a really exciting piece. I'm not going to I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but talk a little bit about some of these scripts that you've created for us.
Yeah. So that's actually, I think it was in the anchoring and adjustment module, but it's going through the way that once you start to set up the price, and I go through the process of helping you to determine your best product, the high anchor and decoy, things you've heard me talk about on the relativity episodes and things like that. So once you have those, the way that you present that in a chart is different than the best practice for putting it in a list on a website or on a brochure. And that's different than the way that you would talk about it in a conversation if you are having that pitch sales conversation. And for pretty much every business, you need at least those 3 best practices available. So charts are great. You also need a description. You also need to be able to talk about it in a way that's going to be priming and framing that message in a way that's going to get someone to take action. And so that's also broken up on the scripts to have versions for products and services, and just go around the thought process of how those were all created. And I would say one of the other things that is done throughout the course that I'm really excited about, and something I've wanted to do since actually even maybe before launching the podcast itself, is going through specific advertisements and messages from other people. I pull things out of magazines and stuff all the time, as you've potentially heard me talk about on episodes of the podcast before. But I'm actually going through some of those that were really specific framing examples and talking about, this is how they wrote that. Now think about how this impacted your brain. Did you want to take an action or not? What if it had been worded this way? And I have a really great company that has sent me 100 emails or something, and I just keep putting them into a folder, and they reframe a bunch of different ways the exact same pitch on buying. It's this like wine club sort of a situation. And so I'm showcasing and letting you know. So they talk about it this way, and then they frame it this way and this way to help you to understand how you could frame your own messaging, really seeing those tangible examples and having me talk through them, which I know my clients have found really, really valuable when we work one-on-one. So being able to find a way to implement that, I know is going to be really helpful for everybody.
So I haven't got to see that piece yet in the course, but I'm super excited about it, because I also know, because I've had the pleasure of sitting next to you at conferences, and I know the way that your brain takes notes and the things that you write down and the way that you track stuff at a conference. I can't wait to see this part of this from you, because these are those real life examples that really like hit the message out of the park for me, that allows me to go, okay, now it's just not a study, and now it's not just Melina saying it, but now I get to see it in action. So that's super exciting. I can't wait to see those. I also want to talk to you about your worksheets, because one of the things that we have been so blessed, those of us who are longtime listeners of your podcast, blessed to get so many worksheets from you. And I also have seen the worksheets that are in the pricing course. And I know that these are like night and day differences. I feel like, so I want you to talk about it, but I'm just going to say from my perspective, I feel like the worksheets that we've gotten from the podcast have been like a little taste, like a little like, so delicious sample. And these worksheets that you have put together for us in the course, I feel like are the full meal deal.
Right. Absolutely. That was the intent for them. And if you think about for a podcast episode, I'm talking about, say, framing in every application it could possibly come into play, right? For all types of businesses, for all types of situations and scenarios. And it's typically the worksheets for the podcast episode, the one that goes along with those freebies, are to help remind you of what I talked about. And they have maybe 3 points in them, and so don't forget XYZ, and, just the very generic of, for anchoring and adjustment and for relativity, you need to have a best decoy and the high anchor or whatnot. So it's that little bit. And so in the module on anchoring and adjustment, there are links back and saying, if you haven't yet listened to the episode and gotten the worksheet, here they are. I'm assuming you have this foundational knowledge. And now let's laser focus in on what this means for you in this aspect of pricing. And so we're talking about priming and picking your words. I have a 2-page adjective list of things that you might want to use and see and grab, and walking through the process of narrowing down and how you would use those messages. And the modules really build on one another. So once you've finished picking your adjectives, now we look about how you put those into a message when it's in long form all the way down to short form, and really building all this into a step-by-step package to where you can build and start from mindset all the way to picking those final prices.
And so with something like this, because sometimes people go through a course and they think like, oh, well, I'm probably only going to need to go through this course one time and then like one and done, right? And then something will change and then that course will be outdated. I feel like, and please correct me, but I feel like this course is an evergreen course. This is a course that you'll go back to multiple times as your business grows, as you scale your business, whatever kind of place, wherever you find yourself. Because even people who I know, clients of mine who've been in business and, have 6 and 7 figure businesses, still want to have this pricing discussion with me when they've been in business for 15 years.
Right.
So can we talk a little bit about your thoughts on the course and the longevity of what really people are going to get for it?
Yes. So it's definitely, when I was looking at how to structure the courses and workshops, which I know, Nikki, I worked with you on a lot, talking through how to structure this. So I know this is when you kind of knew the answer to this question before you asked it. But it was something that, I thought about. There are those courses where you can only have access for 30 days and then it's gone. And if you want to come back, you have to rebuy or something like that. And for one thing, because behavioral economics is a constant field and there's research happening all over the place and it's pretty new, if there was something that comes out, a study down the line that's really relevant for this, I would like to add it into the course and have people to be able to go back and get that. And for anybody who's been through before, to be able to send, an email and say, hey, there's this new module or this new tidbit, or I want you to know I would have included this if this information had existed back in the day, or, when the course was created. But also that it's set up to be, like I said, because it's that strategy, that overarching from the how to approach the way you think about pricing. When you add a new product, you'll want to be looking at this again. If you're going to change industries, you would want to be looking at this. And like you said, people maybe going through the course now and thinking that they know all that they need to know. And then in a year, they think, maybe I really should raise my prices. I should go revisit this item again. And what I have found with some of my clients and other people that just, peers that I know, is once you start the process of really feeling confident in your prices and you see how easy it is to make some of the sales at these different price points that seemed like they were a stretch, you'll probably revisit and want to see, because then your calendar starts to fill up and you get really busy. It's not because it's not about the price. So then you realize, well, maybe I should adjust again. Maybe I should look at this a little bit differently. And I love having that and giving these skills to people that they can just use long term. I would say that's also the point about having the virtual workshop option, to where anybody who's been in a course, you could do multiple of those workshops if you wanted to, or come have a virtual strategy session with me at some point if you want just a few tips. But you could do the course and sign up with the bundle, do that workshop right after you've completed. And then if 6 months down the line, you have some new thoughts or questions and you want to sit in on and attend another workshop and ask a new question that's come up, you can do that as well, trying to make it as user-friendly as possible and implementable for sure.
So tell me a little bit about the format of the workshop. So I buy the course, I go through the course, and then there's an option for the workshop. What does that entail? And dig in a little bit around that.
Yeah. So I know far too many people that have signed up. They've had their, the optimism bias and that time discounting work together to where you think, yes, I'm going to do this course and it's going to be awesome. And I'm going to have all this time to get it done. And then you're going to implement and it's going to be great. And then you start the process and maybe you have one question that you wish you could ask and you allow yourself to kind of get hung up in this spiral of, well, if only I could do that. And then you let it sit on a shelf and you never finish. And so incorporating the workshop component is really important for two reasons. One, it puts a deadline in place so that you have a date that you're trying to get completed by. So if you've got a workshop and you're going to be sitting with me to ask a question, you want to get through as much as you can before that date. Whereas another type of an evergreen course, it might just sit and you'll keep putting it on the shelf and not tackle this important piece about pricing. The other piece is that there are so many ways that the concepts come together, and you might get hung up on this one little bit that I want to be able to help you get over that hurdle. And so if you have this one question of, well, should I do it this way or this way? Or you say the chart is this way all the time, but this is my situation. Is it different or does it still apply, right? There are these, does this actually apply to me or is my situation different? And sometimes it is, but in general, I've put those notes within if there is something that's markedly different for you within the course itself. But if you want to have that extra little bit of confidence, have me look through like I do with my clients and say, actually, I would make this bigger, or I would call this out, or maybe you should adjust your anchor to be this, that we're actually working through it to where you feel just 110% ready to go because we've been through it. And you get the benefit of hearing the questions that are asked by the other 5 people in the workshop. So you get 30 minutes where I'm working directly with you and you get to experience the advice and the tips and see what other people have implemented throughout the course. And it'll be really from any of the Brainy courses over time. So if somebody has a question about branding and how they implemented some of the tips in their course that you think, oh man, that really applies to what I was doing with pricing, they can all kind of overlap and go together and see the ways that you can implement this for the biggest impact.
Okay. So just to take a step back, so you buy the course and you buy the bundle. So you get the workshop with it. You are going to show up to the workshop and there are going to be 5 other people in the workshop getting to have 30 minutes of one-on-one coaching with Melina. Yes?
Correct. Yes.
And then when you're in the hot seat or the spotlight or whatever, when it's your time, you're getting to ask very direct things, but the rest of the time you get to sit and really listen to you coach other people through stuff and then figure out oh, I'm going to apply that to my business too. Or because they asked this question that I didn't even know I had yet.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now I get this extra added bonus of having really had this answer from Melina that I wouldn't have ever even known to ask her.
Exactly.
I love this.
I know that, you and I have done different masterminds before. I'm sure some of the people who are listening have been through that mastermind hot seat sort of experience, and where I've done this in-person workshops, and the feedback always, people who haven't done that type of setup before, it's always that they got the most benefit, the most information, the best stuff was in hearing other people talk and ask their questions. And it's sort of in understanding how the brain works when you're not in your conscious space. So now we're looking at the way that your subconscious is interpreting information from other people when it doesn't apply to you, and you're sort of like brain wandering while you're having this experience. You think, oh, that's interesting. I wonder how I would implement something like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Seeing people go through that, and the feedback I get from that piece is there's so much value in that other time. Getting your question answered is great and it helps so much, but then it just helps bring this extra layer of understanding and value that you don't get just in some of those one-on-one type or just from a course itself. You get that extra piece of value from everybody else.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of this format because I do this for my clients too. And I just did one recently where people actually said, I didn't really know if I was going to like this, but I got so much out of being in the observer role. So yeah, this is a really exciting piece. So tell me a little bit about how the course is being sold. So they can buy it. Can they buy it on their own, or they can buy it with the bundle? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody can go to thebrainybusiness.com/courses, or you can just click on courses when you get there. And there is information about the pricing course. And depending on when you're listening to this, as other courses go live, they'll all be on that page. But you're able to then choose if you want just the course itself. And I know for some people, you want to be able to see how you like it and decide if you have a question and add that on later. And you can do that. You can add the workshop separately. But there is value in getting the bundle up front. You save about $100 in doing the 10 module course plus the workshop. You can bundle it together and get that set up front. And then as you're going through to set up what your question's going to be and get ready for the workshop and everything, all those benefits, like I said. So you can go in and purchase that as a bundle. You can do the course on its own, and you can set up and buy the workshop on its own. Like I said, if after you've been through a course, you want to add it on, or if you've already done a bundle and then you want to add an additional workshop, I wanted to have that flexibility for people to be able to set it up in that way.
I love that. One piece of advice that my coach gave me a while back is he always says, whenever there's an option to buy like the full meal, buy the full meal, because you'll never regret having all of the access. So he does that when he goes to conferences, when he buys courses, when he signs up for, online programs, whatever. It's all, and I've really taken that to heart this last year, and I have started doing that too. And I have never had any regrets about going like, I'm all in, because it's always about investing. And the thing about this course is I love a return on my investment, right? Like if I'm going to invest time and energy into something, I love things that I can directly go like, hey, this paid for itself. And, please, pricing, being able to set the right price and do it in a way that now you're comfortable and confident, and your clients find it really easy to make a selection on the right product or service for them. Like this course pays for itself. I know now I'm like in pitch mode here, but anything where you can get a return on your investment, I love. And this to me is like the absolute no-brainer. You get your return on your investment with this, go through the content, do this, and see what's going to happen for your business next year. As a result, when you raise your prices, you communicate that price increase, you clearly lay your pricing out. I'm so excited about this course, Melina.
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited about this one too. And I've been so, up to my eyeballs in it for weeks of, writing out the content and creating all the worksheets and just hours and hours of extra time in building out the experience that I want people to have when they go through the process, to make sure it all flows properly and that it makes sense as you're doing that step by step. And where, like you said, I know people have been asking for this for a long time. People have been asking for more content, for things you're able to do that applicable step by step, how to do it. And I wanted to wait until I had a real step by step way for people to walk through the process based on experience with my own clients and questions that I get when I'm out speaking, just all these things bundled in, instead of just throwing something out there for the sake of selling something. It's not about that. It's about helping more people to have this experience with having the great value of knowing that your price is what it should be, and how easy it can be to have your business just be everything that you want it to be. And that's whether you work within a company or you own your own business, all the ways of being able to just know it fits and that it's right is something that I want for everyone. And so I wanted to make it as accessible as possible for all budgets, to be able to justify that it's, like you said, just a no-brainer. It's so, for me, I set it up to make it as valuable for everybody as possible, as easy to say yes. And there's so much there. I mean, a 4-hour workshop, even if you think about the value of that time that it would be to book me for that amount of time, it's just silly. It's a good price.
Yeah. So let's talk about break down for us. Like, this is what you get in the course. Like, I feel like I should let you say this, but I know there are 10 modules in the course.
Yes, there are 10 modules, including, you get just a welcome explaining the benefits of the course and what to do to make sure that you're going to get the most value out of everything that's throughout the course. I then show this introduction to pricing and the brain, how behavioral economics and this brain first strategy can be applied to pricing, and some ways to set specific goals. There's a worksheet to help walk through what you're intending to get out of the course, why that matters to you, and really setting intention for the course itself. And then, as we know, every Brainy course has a mindset module, and it's very close to the beginning of the course itself. And I have set this up as a freebie, which we can talk about before we close out. So anybody who wants to kind of test and see what a module is like, the mindset module is set up to be that freebie, since it's included in everything. And this just little taste of mindset and how you can be applying that, and the way to set your mind up for success around pricing is the piece there. And that has a new worksheet that hasn't been released anywhere yet as well. We then go into priming, finding those right words, setting up your scent of the cookies, which I know is a huge question I get all the time, of how people can actually use priming themselves when they aren't selling delicious cookies, or even if you are. And then how you compare using relativity, setting up your decoy, your high anchor, and your best piece, and how they should compare against one another, and some specific advice of doing that with brand new worksheets. Then we set this foundation of understanding those numbers, like I talked about, tips about discounting specifically, and the strategy around that, when you should, when you definitely should not, and how you can pick the right strategy around discounting for your own business. And this is a place where people lose money and don't realize it. You think that you have to discount. I think this is actually one of the biggest sort of hidden value items within the whole module, because so many people think, well, everyone else at this networking event gives away 20% for new members, or gives away whatever it is. And it could be a huge loss that you don't even realize. But so then we go into that framing piece, how to position your messaging. That's where I walk through the ads and do the showcasing the different ways to talk about your prices, how to present it in all these different avenues. Then we get into the anchoring, which is showing the charts versus the list and all of that. And then you finally pick your price at the very end. And then we bring it all together and sort of wrap it up at the end. So that is it. And it's all that to talk through. Hopefully you can hear how it's different than what has been already talked about through podcast episodes and everything else. It's definitely a step above what we've done on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, times 100. Right? So I get to see this, like, as you know, I know the audience is listening, but I'm getting to see everything that you're talking through as you're doing this. And this is a very robust course and it's manageable too. I will say that it's not something where you're going to be spending hours and hours and hours watching videos to try to figure it out. The worksheets are very comprehensive. They make sense. Everything is like, it's really set up beautifully. And, you know, you've got the step-by-step of how to go through it. So I love it. So let's talk about how people get it and the price for it.
So you go to get this at thebrainybusiness.com and you can just click on courses or go to thebrainybusiness.com/courses and all the links are there. So you can go with either the bundle, course only, and it'll take you into Member Vault where you can buy that. And that's where you actually access everything is through this other site called Member Vault. And so the cost, if you were to buy the two separately, so the course is $399 on its own. The workshop seat at the virtual workshop is $399 on its own. So if it was the bundle, you know, if you were to buy them both, it would be $798. If you buy them in a bundle together, it's discounted to $699. But I do have discounts, and these are very strategically thought through discounts.
Of course they are. So tell us, what's the deal? What's the deal?
So anybody who wants to go in, you can use, if you want to get the bundle, you get an extra $100 off. So it's only $599 to get the full 10 module course and a seat at the 4-hour virtual workshop. And so that code is Brainy100 off. There will be in the text of the show notes and everything so that you can access that. And if you want the course only, there's a code of Brainy50 off. So you can bring that one down to $349 and get $50 off of the course on its own.
Do not miss out on the bundle. Like, do not miss out on getting to spend 4 hours learning from this brilliant, brilliant woman. I am so excited about this course, Melina. Thank you so much for allowing for me to kind of take this place of getting to ask the questions that I think your listeners, as a listener, want to know about the course and sharing with us. Thank you so much for putting the course together. I'm super excited. People, rush out and get this. This is going to be an investment that you're making in yourself and in your business. And this is something that will pay for itself, right? Like, you put this stuff into action and you are going to be like, this is a no-brainer offer. And I'm just really excited that you chose pricing first. Can't wait to see what the next one is. I know that there's many exciting things coming because I have some insider knowledge about what could be possibly coming next. So it's going to be really great stuff. And you're going to want to have this pricing course to set you up for all the next courses too. That's just my opinion, but all right, Melina Palmer, you're brilliant. Please keep putting amazing content out into the marketplace and keep educating us on behavioral economics. You are changing our worlds with this and making our businesses so much better. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. And thanks for being here to have this conversation. I really enjoyed it, as always. Oh, wow. I really loved listening to that playback, and I hope you enjoyed learning more about the Brainy Pricing Course in this format. A big thank you again to my friend Nikki Rausch for interviewing me about the Brainy Pricing Course. There are links to her website and new book, The Selling Staircase, in the show notes, along with the links to the Brainy Pricing Course and your discount codes we talked about, as well as being able to check out and sign up for your Master Your Mindset free mini course. You can find all that at thebrainybusiness.com/66. If you have any additional questions about the course after listening to this episode, please do email them to me, melina@thebrainybusiness.com, or reach out on social media where you can find me as The Brainy Biz. I don't want anything to keep you from experiencing pricing confidence. It makes such a difference in any business. And as I said in the episode, it's why I started with pricing and set the course up so it can pay for itself quickly and easily many, many times over. This course is evergreen, so whenever you're listening to this, visit thebrainybusiness.com/courses to learn more and take advantage of the opportunity. One client shared earlier this year that after working with me, she had her most successful first quarter ever. I've incorporated tips and tricks from working with her and all my other clients one-on-one into this course so you can easily increase profitability and sales. Whether you want to close out 2019 with a bang, raise your prices to kick off 2020, or just tackle the pricing monster once and for all, it's time, and the Brainy Pricing Course is waiting for you. I can't wait to hear about all your successes after taking the course and having a brand new pricing strategy with tons of confidence. All right, just like that, episode 66 on the Brainy Pricing Course is done. Next week, we're going to talk about motivation and how to use behavioral economics and other brain tricks to increase success for yourself. And if you're encouraging customers to stick to their goals, there are lots of tidbits in there for you as well. It's going to be awesome. You won't want to miss it. Until then, thanks again for listening and learning with me. And remember to be thoughtful.
Thank you for listening to the Brainy Business Podcast. Melina offers virtual strategy sessions, workshops, and other services to help businesses be more brain-friendly. For more free resources, visit thebrainybusiness.com.